is just fantastic.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at a subject I covered yesterday on Omegon 2, but owing to nobody watching it because I am going through a bit of a rut over there, I thought I'd bring it here because there have been some updates. Updates from the wider commentary space calling out Ludwig for his involvement in the more recent Nintendo Switch 2 Mario Kart whatever event, Melee, Smash, I don't know. Some gaming event he set up that involved drinking rules and inviting an alcoholic. Now, what I'm going to do is play the video from Omegon 2 from yesterday because I may as well get the views from here instead. Although everyone should go subscribe to Omegon 2 for a slightly less filtered commentary, yes. And then we'll go to the updates, including alleged flags, those calling out hypocrisy and double standards, and Ludwig's own experiences from childhood, allegedly. Today we're going to be taking a look at a Super Smash Bros. Pro called Joseph Mango Marquez, who has recently been hit with a ban from Twitch, which means for the time being, suspension. What led to the suspension happened on the 21st of June, so yes, we're 9 days late, because we got busy, alright? And people were only talking about this more recently. During an event called the Mario Kart World Cup event, which is Ludwig's Switch 2 Mario Kart event, the event called Berio Cart require competitors to finish their drinks before the end of a race or be disqualified. From what I've heard about Mango, he has a bit of a drinking problem, so this isn't a good idea. There are many punishments he has been on the receiving end as a consequence for what happened at this event, clips of which have been shared on social media, and there's much in the way of criticism levied at Mango, others involved in the event, more notably Ludwig, who was up until the point of this happening known as a good friend of his, Mango's that is.
Mango is like an alcoholic.
So that is where we're going to go, along with looking at the response from others like M2K, who do believe the consequences of this event will impact many other people because it will have poisoned the well.
See, we're not drunk, guys. Yeah, we're not drunk. But Mango, on the other hand... No. He's humping toes. No.
End the stream! End it!
End the stream, Mango says.
End the stream!
There are many ways of interpreting this, none of which I can articulate without it looking like I'm justifying his actions, so I'm not going to. On social media, some had posited that perhaps their lack of telling him to stop didn't help the situation, right? Not saying that's what I think, but I have a tweet on the screen that is basically pointing that out. Other aspects to consider would be the fact that later on he does a breathalyzer. He blows .32. And what happens? I'll just show you.
We got a new PB! Guys, Mango just blew a .25! Mango just blew a .32.
That is my go.
Hey, everybody! Mango just blew a .32!
To be clear, that is dangerous. That's not good. That's not good. That's dangerous.
Let's up those numbers!
Now, as far as I'm concerned, these parties exist solely so people can get hammered and do stupid things. A consequence now is that, in this instance, Mango's the one suffering the punishments for it. Whether justifiable or not, it's impressive how quickly threw him under the bus. Some of the more notable consequences would include losing sponsorships, and of course the Twitch, air quote, ban. The sponsorship part is the one that really hurts, especially if you've built a brand. Some like to purity test a little and say, yes, but this guy's over 30, so you gotta stop acting like this. Age is no metric for maturity, I promise you that. When it comes to men's sense of humour, our sense of humour stops developing typically around the age of 15. Why? Because we like the same things and we like to laugh, alright? By the way, that one act alone is what got Mango banned. That one act. Do I think there's a level of responsibility for other parties? I don't think it's the two females. I do think, though, when you've got someone who has a known drinking problem and you're giving them more to drink based on arbitrary rules for a game event, this isn't the right card to play. And that there's responsibility that should be levelled at the likes of Ludwig. You can't deny that, although Ludwig did have something to say later.
I'm no longer inviting Mango to Mogul Moves events. Cause like, you know, it's a privilege to go to an event, man.
Yes, there's nothing quite like going to an event to drink, play video games. I kind of miss those kind of things. It's like a LAN party, isn't it? Maybe we should just call it that. Although at least with a LAN party, we plan our meals, our snacks. Rules of the house are important to abide as well. Of course, in your instance, rules were simple. Do whatever you want, but if anyone gets us in trouble, you're the one going under the bus. Okay. Now, there was some stuff on Twitter that I saw that was interesting. Tweets concerning Mango's wife calling out Ludwig for deleting or deactivating her own Twitter account. Big Eagles fan, but since I'm not bound by as a civilian, Ludwig, I watched you on stream asking for Mango to take shots. Of course, your little teeny bopper viewer bitch ass wants to pretend that never happened. People were vomiting at your event, and you never once decided to pull. There's more there, but it's already a deleted tweet. Hope you enjoy your grace for banning Mango, while encouraging him to get effing wasted. F you Lud. Word for word, I need to do a shot. Where's Mango? Another individual who has a perspective to add on this would be Krebs T. Legend, who via Twitter had said, I haven't spoken on it fully yet, but Ludwig failed Mango as a friend. Enabling and cheering on this level of drinking and not looking after him, not separating him from others, is incredibly irresponsible. If you're hosting an event like this, you'd need security, to be honest. Subtweeting the Big Eagles fan, Mango's wife, of course Mango messed up and has to face the consequences of his actions, and the women involved should not have been subjected to that. Here's Mango's wife calling Ludwig out. Ludwig should have hired security for the event, and if he did, they should have been more present. In another tweet, Krebs had said, I'm sure this screenshot is out of context, but any moral person wouldn't feel this way after some thought. My message to Ludwig is, it's not too late to do good by your friend. Charity stream for rehab, private donation, etc. Real friends are there for you when you're down. The image underneath is from Clippy TV. You are, memeing or genuine, I feel zero guilt. I don't feel guilty at all. It's been seen quite a few times. And the final from Krebs, any good friend would have stopped Mango before the first incident. Reasons for why it happened are not excuses. What Mango did is inexcusable. It's important to understand the reasons and causes though, so we can prevent and be better in our own circles. And I agree with this, by the way, because many will say anyone trying to justify Mango, because no one is, they're making excuses. Many are trying to understand it so it doesn't happen again. You don't want to repeat history, and the only way you can learn is by making a mistake. Mango will undoubtedly learn from this. Ludwig, though, has decided just to sweep that person to one side. Many are saying within the melee sort of circles, Mango's a big character within it, so to lose Mango would actually be quite harmful to everyone. I think that Krebs' suggestion of a charity stream, rehab, donating, I think that's a good idea. A really good idea. And any good friend, like Ludwig has said they were for Mango, any good friend is there for you for the good and the bad. If you are not, you are a plastic friend. You're the kind you're pulled a bit, but you'll never go back to the same shape. And then when things get a bit cold, you become brittle. If someone understands that scientific reference, I'm really proud of you. Name the third state of matter and you'll get 10 points to your Hogwarts house. Which is, of course, now there is someone I mentioned earlier who had a perspective on this that we haven't included yet. That person is M2K, Mewtwo King.
Yeah, this is a really bad look. We're never getting sponsored, bro. It's f***ing over, dude. We're never getting... If he stays the face of Smash, if he stays the face of Melee, it's f***ing over for Melee.
And there is some truth to that. Sponsors are pulled out already that are connected to Mango. Others will feel the consequences because of how poorly handled this situation was. M2K is quite right, because not many are going to be within these esports territories are going to be taken seriously by companies like Nintendo, who will want to preserve as much as they can. Ludwig has a big enough name, but has handled this so poorly that this doesn't look good. The optics are not on anyone's side. No one is taking away from the fact that Mango has to pay a price, as it were, for the purchase of that act alone, the humping thing. Yeah, not great.
This might have killed all future potential for Melee sponsors. Mango might have just killed all future... If Nintendo ever sees this, it's over. No sponsor is going to want to attach themselves to this. When I would try to speak about how Mango was like bullying me in the past, when I tried to speak on that in the past, you know what people would say? Here's what they would say. Oh, it's just Mango.
There should never be any justification for general jackassery that by today's standards is dubbed problematic. Don't bully, no one should, and if you do, you should be held accountable for it. It shouldn't be fobbed off. Streamers who get a bit full of themselves invariably end up becoming a bit too arrogant, a bit too cocky, misplacing their position, thinking that it's given them some kind of power, a privilege, as it were. I don't care for it in the slightest. If you're too far that way, you need to have your neck reined in. Simple as that. And this does risk poisoning the well. The optics are on no one's side, so everyone's going to feel a consequence of some kind by being associated with it. If Ludwig does this again in the future, another one of these events, I can see it backfiring unless the drinking rules are removed and in place something to donate to some kind of Alcoholics Anonymous charity perhaps, because that's actually a smarter play.
But he does it over and over and over, and he knows it's bad because I've told him it's bad, and I've told him I don't like it. And then I have to tell him every single year, sometimes in person, like I told him in person at Smash Summit, told him online. Sometimes I send him a short message, and other times I'm like, I sent him a few paragraphs once. And you know what his message to me was? LeMayo, I'm not reading that. Like, one message a year I sent him. Basically. Basically explaining why I feel the way I do. Please stop, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's not right. I've never done anything to you. Why are you always talking bad about me on stream? Honestly, dude, if he wasn't using his influence in a way to be to negatively influence my Twitch support and the way people viewed me in that time period before Ultimate, I would have been focused on Melee a lot more, if I'm being honest with you. This is the truth.
Other perspectives that need to be highlighted would include the following.
His thing is, I'm only concerned about my events, my people, my staff. Okay, so I just want you to remember that statement here as we're going along. Now, this has not been a good look across the board for anybody. Right? Now, Ludwig, I want to keep this in mind. This is how he promoted the event. A 24-person drinking and driving event happening, right? Okay. So he's obviously promoting there's going to be drinking, right? And obviously it's Mario Kart driving. It's not really real, right? But the chat's pointed this out. Why invite not an alcoholic?
Now, we all know why Ludwig invited Mango to the event. They were friends. Also, apparently, Mango's undefeated. That does not justify introducing something into another person's life that we know there is a problem with. That feels less like a good friendship and more like somebody using another person knowing it will drive up clicks and interest in their content. And you, Ludwig, afterwards can play, downplay, try and mitigate, limit the consequences on your side, but you look like a loser here. I haven't played Mario Kart in a while. I do have it on the Switch though. Maybe I should play it again. Not after drinking, though. One knows if they want to do well in Mario Kart, you need to be the very best like no one ever was. Wait, that's Pokemon. A continued argument is, who takes the blame? Now, I don't care for assigning blame. I only care that people do better going forward. Does that to me mean that people should not be involved? Partake? No. If you apologize, you make right, then of course opportunities should be there, but I am not everyone. The court of public opinion does not share my views on this as well. Well, a large swath of it anyway. Now, when it came to criticizing Ludwig on this, some creators alleged that they had been recipients of copyright claims, meaning that it was very hard for them to upload content discussing this as it unfolded. Here is a relevant clip from the YouTuber Seros TV, who is apparently a small YouTube channel according to Yeet. They have more subs than I do. Alright then.
I've tried to make this video about 7 times, and each time I tried to upload it, I have had a copyright notice from whatever the Ludwig people are, the clip people that do the clips. It seems as though I'm getting copyright strike for using clips, so I'm just going to talk about what I feel with the Ludwig Mango situation. I don't know if you guys recall the aspect of what Ludwig is. Ludwig hosts Berio Cart. Ludwig is a very popular streamer.
Over on Twitter, Carvos had said Ludwig takes no accountability, yet was cheering on Mango and wanting him to get more drunk. A clip of which you saw in the Omegon 2 video. Doesn't excuse Mango at all, but Ludwig acting the saint in the aftermath, yet he actively created and encouraged dangerous levels of drinking. And this is important. In Ludwig's statement addressing this, there was no accountability on his part for the part that he played. And there are many who are going to see that as a, you washed your hands of someone you called your friend, you knew they were trying to get help for their alcoholism and they failed last year. So you invited them to a party to drink excessively, You've even been called out by the guy's wife. It makes you look like a crappy individual. Nux on Twitter had posted an image that I don't know if it's true or not, by saying Ludwig, WTF dude. Underneath, Ludwig's father passed away due to complications from alcoholism when Ludwig was 10. I don't know where that comes from or if it's true, but it's one hell of a statement. I do also think it's in poor taste to post it in the online space. Yes, of course, if you have that skepticism, you're looking at it and you're starting to wonder, but it's not our place to do that. I understand why people would feel the need to draw the comparison though. Optics not on your side here. Underneath the earlier mentioned Ludwig statement, a comment was posted that said Ludwig the type of guy to hide his zombie bite in the apocalypse. Kinda seems appropriate, slightly more light-hearted than the earlier statement from Nux. Tectone has been calling out Ludwig on his streams, and we're going to go to a clip shared by Yeet, because Yeet shares everything these days, which is a good thing, saves us having to find it, going through some receipts about Ludwig and who is responsible for actions.
Might say no, some people might say yes. Do you know who would disagree with that very take? Do you know who would disagree that you are not responsible for someone else's actions? Ludwig himself. And this is why we're talking about this here today. The only person responsible for someone's actions is the someone that did the action. If little Timmy sees a video of a guy eating a load of Takis and faking domestic violence, and then eats a load of Takis and slaps his crush, Timmy is responsible, not the other guy. I just said your argument is weak. Fight someone else in the comments.
I am fully aware, as time goes by and with different scenarios presented, our mindset changes. In this, it shows a level of inconsistency, which is why Ludwig is getting called out now. Deservedly so, to be honest. No one is trying to negate Mango's responsibility at all. In fact, everyone agrees they effed up. 100% they fudged right up. But those who are part of it must also accept they played a part in it. You can try and distance yourself, but the event was Ludwig's. The buck stops at him. You may not like that, but you don't have to like it for it to be true. And when your perspective is treated with a level of inconsistency, or someone sees a contradiction, like Tectone has, this is going to be noticed and called out.
How is it weak, bro? Nobody is responsible for what random idiots do but the idiot that did it. The fact that you seem to think that you have this much pull and control over randos that roll up to a stream says more about ego than anything else, to which Ludwig responded, I think there's a lot of good arguments for not having responsibility. I just specifically think mentioning a 1 in 100,000 extreme cases proof of why that should be the case is weak. Weak argument equals weak stance. It's not weak, it's true. You aren't responsible for what randoms do unless you specifically say, hey, go do unshit in my name.
The question we must ask ourselves now is, can this be used to compare to what happened? The answer is yes. Some might say it is a false equivalence. Actually, it is not. It is a stance, a principled stance, one that must be applied equally, evenly. And when one presents with a contradiction, we then see why. I can understand why. Because this, what was discussed on Twitter, was theoretical. What happened with Mango was literal, which meant there was real-world consequence, as opposed to the discussion on the Twitter, where he can seem principled, but when presented with an actual event, he has to go with optics. For example, the potential loss of sponsorships, future or current. If you cannot be principled and hold the views you claim to hold, then you are a hypocrite, and you are inconsistent and lacking in integrity.
Ludwig, you have actively fought people who said that you aren't responsible for someone else's actions. You believe that you are responsible for someone else's actions. By the way, this was in regards to chat policing. This was in place for community policing, saying that a streamer is in control of their chat and a streamer is in control of their community, and they should dictate what that chat and community should do. So if you believe a streamer is in charge of their chat, randoms on the internet, why the you think you're not responsible for taking care of one of your best friends in a weakened state around alcohol that you know is his vice?
Yeah, Tectone's right. There's nothing more you can add to this statement. He is 100% correct. Ludwig was very open about how much of a friend Mango was. Best friend, in fact. And the moment something happened that harmed Ludwig's brand, he went, nah, you are excommunicado. That shows a weakness. And that is why you're getting criticism. And really, just in case you consider it, don't bother copyright claiming this. There's no point. It just shows further weakness on your part, your team's part. You are the victim of your own hubris and stupidity. Now, as we've reached the end, I'd love to know what you all think. Please do let me know in the comments down below. Smash the like, go sub to Omegon too. Hope to see you on Twitch later for American Truck. I've got the new side panel to set up, so I'll be doing that this afternoon before the stream. Hope to see you there. If not, have a wonderful day, and thank you all so much for listening.